National Prep online training. It's me, I'm Coach Tim Thackrey. I got my good friend and colleague, Dr. Jason Hahn, with us today, and we're super excited to have such a big turnout of people and how engaged you guys have already been on this. And then two, for us, this is really like the underlying layers of how so much what the hard work you guys are doing and the time you're putting in of how it works. So I'm excited to pull back some of the layers on this today, dive deep into some of the content, because all the good training in the world is awesome, but if we're not maximizing what you're doing, we're never going to get that ultimate result. And that's what we see all the time is people come to us and they're not wimps, they're hard workers, right? We don't get a lot of people like, I don't like to work out. Like, you're probably not on. Is anyone here on this call right now like, I don't really like to train? Is that anyone, or do you guys love training? Like give me a shout. Michael, I think you're kidding. I think you're kidding. You can have a chill pill. Is the only pill you're gonna get. Again, mostly people here, hands raising, exactly, thumbs up. We like to get after it. We want to know more. We want to know about our performance. So we've done a lot of work on that, and we want to help you guys do more with that. So let's see, Doc, anything you want to add before we get cracking on this?
No, not really. I think we'll hit on a lot of these topics
Perfect.
As we go through. So
perfect. Well, first, let me introduce my friend and one of my buddies from the training center, one of my friends on the national team, Dr. Jason Hahn. If you guys don't know Doc, I don't know what rock you're living under. His videos are amazing, but if you don't know, it's funny, some people now know him just as Dr. Hahn, and I go, he was a world-class fighter, and they're like, oh yeah, I heard that. So he's a 7-time team member, World Cup silver medalist, World University medalist, so he's been around the block on all this stuff. He's a doctor of physical therapy, so this aren't things that are just our assumptions. We're not just coming to you guys of like, it'd be cool if a stretch like this happened to work. Like, he went to one of the top schools for this, and super honored to work with him, and helps me a ton doing that. Yeah, it's always the worst introducing yourself, right? Like you can't ever say your accomplishments, but I can brag about Dr. Hahn all day long, right? So, yeah, you got it, my man. Let's move on down. Anything you want to say? Anything you want to add in here? We'll move down to the next slide.
No, everyone knows Tim, but we've been teammates for a long time, and in the past few years, it's just, we've gotten to work together on a professional level, and then he's a top level strength and conditioning coach. He's created a lot of athletes, not only in Taekwondo, but other sports as well. And you'll see how smart this guy he really is as we go through this PowerPoint. While we were talking and planning this thing out, I learned a bunch just from our conversation. So looking forward to listening and presenting at the same time.
Yeah, thanks so much. And that's part of what we wanted to do, is foster an environment where we can move everyone's training in this country and the world as far forward as we can. And what's really cool, if you even see one of the founders of the Juice, Coach Anthony Graff's here in the forum. He's just listening. So I couldn't take your call, Coach, earlier. I was getting ready, and when we had so many registrants, I was getting the new room ready. So I appreciate that. So we try and live what we say, that we are trying to actively learn, actively do this stuff. Coach Graff's, again, he's with the webinar here. We push each other and want to learn. Coach Graff's 7-time team member, 2-time Olympic alternate, and just one of the best dudes you'll ever meet. So and he runs our kids program. We're going to touch on that a little bit when we talk about some of the different hierarchies of training needs and specialization, that for most developing younger athletes, general fitness performance stuff is actually better for them than too much early specialization. We'll get into that, and he's kind of the master of this domain. So yeah, we'll get you that Super Bowl ring soon, my man. I know, if you guys don't know the joke, Dr. Hanta has a Super Bowl ring, so kind of cool. Okay, ready for a vision. Here's who we are. I'm going to run through a few of these fairly quick. We got together after our careers were done in fighting, and we'd all been coaching. We all own our own facilities. Right? and we came up with a couple principles of what we wanted to move forward to. And the first was to help athletes and coaches succeed in areas that maybe we failed or we saw other people fail, right? So I think hopefully in our videos, do you guys see a lot of that hopefully do you feel like we're filling in some of the cracks for you that maybe aren't being addressed? Am I right in that? Just give me a yes or no. Thank you. Sierra, you're first. Sierra's first and favorite. I appreciate it. Yeah, so far, yes, Charles, but we're just getting started. We want to bring our full passion into this profession. This isn't a hobby of ours. We do it. It's our career. This is what we do. Into your lives, into your stuff with athletes, to your to your meaning for you, to provide a platform for others. So again, for a lot of this is why I hope you guys all have pen and paper. Does everyone here have a notepad and a pen today? So this is active. We all do. This is how we run our stuff. We don't sit and go, yeah, hey, that's a fun idea. Maybe someday I'll go do it. Never. No, we want you guys moving forward and finding your own meaning in this. And someday you're going to teach us, and that's ideal. We want to push the envelope forward on athletic development. So you're going to see us hopefully questioning you guys a little bit on why you do what you do, right? And just because we say, hey, that's good enough, like that's not going to fly for us, because we believe you don't get to the top by just doing the things that your parents did and what they did, what their parents did, and they did what their parents did. And there's a lot of good stuff in tradition and honor when we're talking about high-end competitive things or your own performance. We think we should look underneath the rock and see what's there. Finally, is to be grateful. We're big on gratitude. That's actually something that Coach Graff brought to us, is the gratitude piece. So I'm grateful to have so many of you people here. I'm grateful to have people that I love learning from, and to have a group that I feel like we can really coach you guys up and uncover some of the under the gym that we've been working on. Thank you, Erica. I'm grateful you were here. All right. Goals of the webinar, there's 3 really big ones we're going to do. Obviously, we're going to take time later and be able to dig deep into specific areas and go, I mean, we could do a whole weekend just on any one of these parts, but we have an hour. Other stuff will come up later. The big parts for an 8-week prep cycle we want to cover are the difference between acquiring a new skill, that's movement acquisition, skill sharpening, and that's getting ready to fight. And Dr. Han knows this about as good as anyone in the world. So you guys are really lucky to have that. An overview of nutrition and lifestyle factors, because this forms the basis of everything we build on. Has anyone heard the term loading dysfunction? You guys heard that? You might have heard it in the term of with specific movement stuff, right? So loading dysfunction means if we don't have a good base, when we start building on that, and everyone wants, what do you guys want? Performance. Let's perform, let's go, let's hit it hard, high intensity, come on, drop and give me 50. But the base is bad, it's gonna crumble, right? So your nutrition and lifestyle factors are critical for your success. Critical. And I know as an athlete, I didn't pay enough attention to that. I had people telling me and I was like, yeah, sure. And now I look at it and I'm like, wow. And then once we do that, now we can build on top of that properly and talk about peaking, volume-based training, etc. So that's where we're going with the webinar today. Dr. Han, I want to turn it over to you. You want to give an overview of the funnel and then the first kind of questions?
Perfect.
There we go. So, boom.
We're not going to spend too much time on this, but one of our last webinars with USA Taekwondo, we went over our performance funnel, and this is essentially how we process our training and how we process training our athletes. So there's 6 different steps. There's purpose, physical prep, movement acquisition, mental application. The performance training part, if you see, it's actually at the bottom. And this is kind of what Tim was talking about. There's all these other parts that we need to address in order to get to the performance piece. And we'll be talking about that next. Next one, Tim?
Next one, boom.
Okay, so for all the coaches out there, I want you to ask yourself, and is this you? And then a lot of times it's us. Tim and I grew up in the sport, and these are the same thoughts and processes that we had as well as our coaches. So how, as a coach, how can I give my athletes a competitive advantage? Why is my team not progressing as expected? How can I get my athletes faster, stronger, and more explosive? And why can't my athletes execute the things I want them to? And we put out a few videos as of late. You know, we talked about the axe kick, the back kick, and really what we do here from a strength and conditioning aspect is to prepare the athlete to execute those things you do in actual Taekwondo training. We're not teaching you how to do roundhouse kicks, how to do back kicks and stuff. We are teaching you the components to actually get there. Okay? I can click too, huh, Tim?
Yeah, you can.
So athletes, we've been in your shoes, like I said, so ask yourselves, why am I stuck with mediocre results? Why do I feel so fatigued once competition comes around? You know, and Tim's going to speak on this when he talks about the 8-week training cycle. You know, are you doing the right things in order to peak at competition? He's going to talk about volume versus intensity, and you have to understand what those factors are in order to actually succeed. The next one is, I work just as hard as my competitors, but why are they surpassing me? You know, common. We get this question all the time, so we're here to hopefully shed some light on that. And why doesn't my body do the things my brain tells it to? And that's very similar to what I said from the coaching question.
Yeah, so I'm going to jump up one real quick, Jay, and I go. So what I'd like you guys to do is I have the coaches one back up and the athlete one. Type up which one of these resonates with you. Coaches, do you feel like you need a more competitive advantage for your athletes? Are you doing everything your team's not progressing? Are you looking to get an extra edge on that, or is it execution? Right? This helps us know how to kind of dial this in more for you guys. And then athletes, I need you guys, again, we don't want wallflowers in this group. Are your results mediocre? Are you going, why aren't I getting where I want? Or are you fatigued? You're at the competition, you do good in training a month out, and then you blow it the last week. Or your competitors are doing, like, I'm doing everything they're doing. Why aren't I winning? Or why doesn't your body do the things your brain tells you to? What does that look like for you? And tell us. Everything from the coach's side. Well, let me say this. I love how engaged everyone is in here. Yeah, good. So yeah, right. So keep that in your mind, right, while we're doing this, because we're going to be hitting on this stuff. And again, maybe not that exact phrase, but we're going to uncover the way that we do this and help with everyone, right? So what we've wanted to do is get to the core of how this works. So that way, that's why we can help different athletes of all types. That's why you see we have an athlete in New Zealand. I have an athlete in New Zealand, Andrea, on the Olympic team I've never met, right? We know the principles, so we can help them apply it to that specific thing for her, or, you know, whatever. So that's really critical that you get the underlying factors. Take it away, Doc.
All right, so one of the big goals of this webinar is we're going to discuss movement acquisition versus skill sharpening, and we'll get a little bit more into this. Again, these are all questions. Is this you? We are totally doing these 50 ladder drills. We just saw it on YouTube, and we see this a lot. We're on Facebook and we see these quote unquote cool drills. And number one, you have to understand, what is it for? And what we try to do, we break it down into components. Are you working on cutting angles? What are your cutting angles? What direction are you going? How many reps, sets should you actually be doing? Because you see it online and they're doing 1 million. And to be honest, that's not feasible. It's actually it has a negative impact on your actual training. So Tim's actually gonna talk about that. The next one is, I'm super flexible when stretching, but have a hard time kicking to the face. And I see this as far as when there is an imbalance between stability and mobility and strength, right? Because if you don't have them all working together, you're not going to be able to execute the actual kick. And we got a lot of questions or feedback in the chat about that. And
yeah. Who feels like that applies to them, that you're limited, but you're unsure if it actually is flexibility, or is there something else maybe holding you they're not aware of, or is it a strengthening component in the chain of your body that maybe that's it? And this is what happens with Dr. Han's hitting on. If I'm a cook, right, and I see myself more as almost like a chemist. Like we're trying to figure out how you work. That if you give me some eggs, I can make you an omelet, or I can make you a cake, right? And so everyone does the same drill. You look at, oh, the free videos, I'm doing it, but the order we do it in matters, right? The sequence we do it in matter, the volume, the repetitions, all changes what we make. So this stuff, again, knowing the acquisition, knowing the sharpening is very, very, very critical.
Thanks, Tim. And the last bullet is, I have a Pumse competition this week, and my kicks need to be higher. I'd rather overstretch this whole week, and then I get this a lot from our athletes. They actually get injured because they start to go off the plan. You know, at this point in time, you have a week coming up into competition. You have to know what you're supposed to work on. It's not time to bring in new things, not skill sharpening things. You know, sorry, let me reverse myself. It's not here to bring in new skills. It's to harness the things that you already have and to make them sharp, right? It's not time to bring in all these extracurriculars. The next step, I'm not going to read it all because it's really, really long, but long story short, retrain movements, not necessarily individual muscles. You know, we're past the phases of when we're looking at functional performance. We're not doing bicep curls all day. We're not doing hamstring curls all day. Yes, they are parts, but ultimately they are trying to get you to a movement pattern that will get you towards your goal. This next, I like this diagram because we get a lot of hip issues in our sport. And if you're training the right things, like if you look at the top part, this person is using the correct muscles and the correct firing sequence to create hip extension. So he's using his glute max, and then right here is the iliacus. But unfortunately, we start to get overuse of other areas like the hamstring, which is here, and the quad, which is, here's your rectus femoris, which aids in hip flexion and stuff like that. But if you see you're using the correct muscles, you're getting good rotation within the joint. When you don't, and you're using these accessory muscles, you're getting a shift of the hip forward. That's why we have so many hip impingement, those type of issues with our athletes, is that because they're not creating good rotation, they're not creating good hip extension, they're going to run into problems.
Yeah. Who here has any type of hip impingement stuff, hip issues? Right, I think a lot of you. So let's look at it from this perspective real quick, and I'll have Dr. Han kind of walk you through it. This type of diagram, is this an example? Let's say you have that issue, and again, most of you have it. Eric, I'm 66 years old, I get it. At 36 years old, 20 years of fighting, I get it too, right? Your son gets bruised every week, right? Is this an example of an acquisition piece that we should get, or a sharpening piece we should have? What is this an example of? Scott's got it. It says, Scott says acquisition, Charles says sharpening, Todd says acquisition. It could be both. I'm going to Doc, what would you primarily say this would be? And relative to the sport, again, if we're 8 weeks out and someone has this issue with their hip, it's not actually the axe kick itself. So that makes it acquisition. And we're trying to get your body to move properly. Once we get that first, then what can we work on closer to the tournament? And see if you can guess it. The kicks, yeah, actually putting, like, you don't get points for how well your hip works. You get points for kicking someone or how good your front kick is in a Pumse, right? But we have to do this part first to get there, right? So the way that we win is different from the initial tools we have to build to get to win. So this is a further out we need to do. And like what Doc said earlier, he gets a phone call from a Pumse athlete wanting to work on this 2 days before a tournament. And we're now in an acquisition phase when they should be trying to get their kick to be really good. Do you guys see the difference there of that type of thinking? And again, the same stretch just put in a different place changes the output. So again, on this front side, we're looking for the acquisition pieces first, sharpening second. I'll keep going, Doc.
Right. So this is my last quote unquote physical therapy slide. So when we're looking at injuries, I break them up into two pieces. We're looking at the cause versus the source. You know, if someone comes into me with knee pain or hip pain, the source of the pain is the hip, the knee. You know, the cause is not addressing the movement acquisition pieces. You know, so like in this picture, you're gonna see this person may end up with knee pain. I would end up with knee pain if I cut like that too. But the cause of the problem is usually at the hip or the ankle. So like Tim brought up, one of my pet peeves is someone comes into me 2 days before a tournament and they go, hey, can you fix my knee? You know, and all I'm going to do at that point is address the source because it doesn't give me enough time to address the cause. You know, that's why these plans, 4 weeks, 8 weeks in advance are essential to your success. Anything to add, Tim?
No, you nailed it, Doc. You nailed it. Does anyone have any questions on this? And again, think of this as the base, right? We're not getting into performance training because Doc's hitting on it. That is loading dysfunction. We want to go, we did this awesome killer conditioning set at practice yesterday. I got out my fit light and I was doing stuff on it, and we just go like, oh my, it's the wrong order. It's like if I tried to give a sentence to you guys and I said, if Tom Ford, it's a sentence, but those words don't make any sense if we don't do them in the right way. It's not actually English. So cool. You want to go to the next slide?
Yeah, next slide.
Sorry, I go on some rants here. I
appreciate your rants.
Yeah, thank you.
So some of the questions were, how do we deal with relation to growth? And that's why these pieces are so important. It's not about running up hills and doing crazy hurdles and stuff like that, because they need to build the strength and mobility and stability in order to even get to that point. And that goes back to my comment. I saw 50 ladder drills and I'm going to do them for 2 hours. That's how kids growing get hurt. We need to build a good base for them. So part of our funnel is physical prep. And this is not all the pieces, but it's a big part of it. So within physical prep, we're looking at mobility, flexibility, correctives, activation, and the big thing is recovery. We're gonna address a little bit later on. But I'm gonna break down a little bit. So mobility and flexibility, we use them in conjunction sometimes, but they are not the same. Mobility is essentially movement within the joint. So a lot of times you'll have someone with ankle dorsiflexion issues. That's why they can't squat correctly. They may stretch their calves from a flexibility standpoint, but there's something that's not moving mobility-wise within the joint. So there are ways to address both. It's not just a calf stretch. So as far as correctives, let's say your athlete has hip issues or hip impingement. Are they doing the right exercises to address that? And maybe even activation pieces prior to your strength and conditioning program, or even prior to Taekwondo training. You know, these are very effective if you know what to do and when to do them and how much to do them. You know, and these are some of the things that we try to incorporate with our athletes. And I will be the first one to say I don't do rehab for athletes. I'm their strength and conditioning coach, but I know how to work around certain injuries. But if they do have an active injury, I make sure they go and see a professional near them, because there's nothing better than having someone that's exceptionally competent next to you, okay? And then the recovery piece is huge as well. Anything, Tim?
No, that's great. Again, these are the overview, again, a diagnostic tool at the start. This is something we're looking, I mean, even ideally before that 8 weeks out of starting. But if you're looking at nationals now, a diagnostic on each athlete of what are these areas on them. Maybe their mobility is great, but their actual activation stinks. They're Gumby, but they can't get their glutes to fire is an issue, right? Or they're flexible, but their ankles are weak. That's in the corrective side. So knowing this, when we start to load them up 2 weeks out from tournament, they're not dinged up. And how many people here, and be honest, have had really good training, and then about 2 weeks out, you're dinged up, you're banged up, things are nagging, and they start adding up? Or is it just me? Yeah, that's loading dysfunction. When training gets harder, we have some base things that aren't quite right. Yeah, look, you want to build a high-rise tower and the foundation is swampland? No offense, my friends from Florida, but we know what's going to happen. We know, like I know. I'm asking this question knowing what the answer is because that's how it works. That's how it works. So a good diagnostic on this, super critical. Let's go to the next.
Okay, so the movement acquisition phase is essentially knowing how to do these 6 movements. Can you squat? Can you hinge? Can you push with the upper body? Can you pull with the upper body? Can you rotate? And can you stabilize? And these are all essential parts in order to get you to a skill sharpening phase. So I'm going to break down some other kicks, and I can actually get back to this. But as far as what Tim was saying about loading dysfunction, can you even move through these things body weight wise without, like if you're gonna hinge at your hips, are you not flexing at your lumbar spine? That's number one. So if you can do that, then we may load you. But if your hinge is horrible and we load you, I'm just setting you up for back surgery, right?
Yeah.
So these are all essential parts, and our athletes and every athlete needs to be very patient with the process. It's like, yeah, it's cool. We see Landon, we see Logan doing all these crazy things on Facebook. We put it there because it's cool. But that's the end piece. We need to work on all these essential parts in the beginning. Next slide.
Slide, yeah.
So just like I said, how do we get the most out of training in order to execute our skills? We work on the precursors, which we just talked about, physical prep and movement acquisition. So let's look at spinning kick. Let's look at back kick. And I made a video, I think a week or 2 ago, talking about back kick and rotational stability. So number one.
Did everyone see that video? You know what we're talking about? Everyone watch the Dr. Hanta stuff. Good. Okay. I'll try and find the link, or go to our Facebook page. I think it was there a week ago. If you didn't see it, go to our. Let's see. I'll do the link up here.
Yeah. So
there you go.
In order to, let's say we want to target the back kick. Number one, we need to know what to do, and how am I going to do it? A very basic question. So we move on to the funnel. It goes through these parts. The purpose. We're looking at the back kick. Why do we even need to have a great back kick? It's because the game, we get more points for scoring back kicks. That's essentially it. So physical prep wise, we got a lot of comments on that video actually about, oh, why don't we just pivot the lower leg? And that makes sense. You're going to pivot and this and that, but in a lot of cases, that is actually a compensation because you're lacking mobility in another space, right? So it's like, oh, I can only, like, how many times have we said, oh, in order to do this kick, I have to do this? That is a compensation. If you could actually work on the individual parts in order not to do that compensation, just think about how efficient you're actually going to be. It's like, so you throw a kick, you're not compensating, you're able to do another kick right on top of that. When you do compensate, there is going to be a lag in between execution of different kicks. And mental application as far as, okay, I have this skill, I have this rotational stability thing I'm working on. How does that apply to the actual kick? If you can put those things together, the chances are that your performance training piece is going to be a lot more effective. And Tim's going to be touching upon that shortly. So anything to add, Tim, to that last one? Sorry.
No, you're crushing it, man.
Okay, so the take-home message here is we train movements, not muscles. Work on the fundamentals, right? It's not about doing the coolest thing. You watch the best fighters, or you look at the most successful fighters. I'm going to bring up Steven Lopez in this case, right? He doesn't do anything super fancy. He keeps it basic. He knows his space. He shuts them down, and now he's a 5-time Olympian. Yeah. But everyone likes to watch Servette. And they want to do all those turns and spins and fanciness, but how many people can actually do that? He's a very gifted person, but unfortunately, we're not all that person. So we have to work on the fundamentals. The third one is, go ahead, Tim.
I was going to say, or who's seen the video of maybe Landon doing what we call the rotational box jumps, or Logan Garrett doing rotational box jumps, right? You guys seen those? Right? Cool, right? Doc, what are the parts that we put into that before someone does a rotational box jump, right?
So for Logan and Landon, for them, number one was actually being able to stabilize rotation. We'll do stuff like plank pull-throughs, rotational planks, anti-rotation presses with the cable. In order to, you have to earn the right to rotate. That's how I look at it, because how many people they rotate through their low back? Unfortunately, that's the wrong place to rotate through. You're supposed to rotate through your hips and your thoracic spine. And the lumbar spine is supposed to be stable. So if you rotate efficiently and you know where to push from, you will get the most out of your exercise. The rotational box jump is not just for exercise. It's a performance piece. So if Logan and Landon are rotational or powering, if they're jumping to the left and they're powering from their right, that is the same thing as going off the line. Right? It's a back leg roundhouse kick. So
yeah, it's true for anything, right? I mean, because what I'm saying is that we see people, we put this video out, and everyone, they have their 5-year-olds doing rotational box jumps, and what you don't see is the pieces that we've gone through over years to get someone where they can do that super well. I mean, look, my mom's a 3-time world Kumse champion, and we mostly do mobility fundamental stuff with her. That's where it's at. I mean, this high other stuff's good, but that and improvement takes time, right? I mean, right? That's the next one. Improvement takes time, and don't load dysfunction, right?
Yeah. So you answered for me.
There you go.
The last part is: would you rather kick 100 times or 20 times in order to achieve the same score? We need to be a lot more efficient with our training systems and practices and stuff. And we're getting a lot of questions regarding Pumse. Yeah, we're making yes. The answer is yes. I do work with a lot of Pumse athletes here, actually in California. Thu has actually been here as well, and the concepts are the same. Some of the end pieces are different, but all of these movement acquisition and physical prep things I work on with them as well. So it definitely has a correlation there.
Yeah, and those of you that really like that, you saw the video I did on the cut kick on the pieces that built up to a good cut kick, and Dr. Han did the pieces that built up to the back kick. You guys saw those, correct? Right. So we're actually about finishing up a product for everyone, and it's going to be a training tool of what is the activation piece, what is the mobility piece, what is the strengthening piece, what is these other parts. Yeah, what is the stability piece? What is the performance and agility piece? Right. So those are what we're looking for that. And so if that's something that would that be helpful for you guys, Charles? Yeah. I mean, it's not we're finishing it. Look, I have zero interest in building things that no one wants. I could literally. We have so much good people out here like you guys that want to learn stuff. So if you guys ever go, hey, we don't like, no one likes this. We don't want to do that. We want to work on things that actually you guys can use. So that's something that would be useful. And I think what we like to do, what are they? Axe kick, round kick, back kick, front leg face, and cut, right?
Right.
Kind of the 5 most common that would be good for each one. So that would be huge. So awesome. Yeah, side kick's really the same as cut for us. And if you can do back hook kick, you can figure out spinning. We're not going to, maybe down the road we do all 50 kicks or something. But yeah, so awesome stuff on that, Doc. And any other questions on acquisition and skill sharpening? Because I want to go to the next section. All right, let's go on to the next section. Nutrition and lifestyle factors. Again, this may seem boring. We're still getting the base ready for this 8-week cycle. That's how much really goes into this. So those of you that think, oh man, the kids are out of school, time to do double days. like, ugh, and I know we're gonna hit on that later, but this much goes into getting a real, a real person ready for when you see a performance and you go, whoa, that was different. That was special. This is what we have going into this. So is this you? If you're cutting weight or just getting ready, even if you just have a stressful job, cutting weight has really put a downer on your training. You have a love-hate relationship with your sauna suit. You throw it away after every tournament. You're like, I'm never going to wear that again. And you buy a new one every next tournament, right? I fight tomorrow, but I'm going to go run 5 miles to cut the last few. Is this? And no one on this call, of course, right? This is no one here has ever done this, right? Yeah, sure. I think we're all guilty. I think, our Kumse people cramming towards the end, right? And yet no one here would ever do that, right? So here's how we look at that. What we have to understand is we start getting in the training area, that training is the systematic breaking down of your body. So do we get stronger in the training phase while we're training, or is it recovery? Which makes us stronger or faster? Training or recovery? This is kind of a trick question for you guys. And so say what you think. Don't say what you think. I just want the answer to be. Right? It's for you guys already read. I already have the answer up there, huh? Okay, I gave away the answer. But, well, look, we need training, but think about this. If you do a really hard workout, the next day, how do you feel? Really, let's say you train 2 hours hard. You're sore. Your body is breaking down. That's good. You want that, but you're not as good as you were yesterday because your body's broken down. So if you had to, let's say it's the day before nationals, are you going to do a 6-hour workout? Oh, but I thought training made you faster. No, training is the breaking down of our body. The recovery part is what makes us come back stronger. So if all we do is train, we are breaking our bodies down, right? That's good. But if we don't do these things to rebuild stronger, sickness happens, injury happens, dysfunction happens. Okay, so yes, look, you can't not train. You can't just go, oh, well, Tim said don't train. I get better. I'll just recover forever. No, you have to do that, but you have to do the recovery thing. So for us, nutrition is the fueling of the recovery phase for you guys in a large part, right? Sleep is the recovery phase of this stuff. So I don't care how much you want to talk about training. We're going to get into that in a second. Like I am going to show you guys the ideal 8-week training plan. But if we don't have this stuff happening and we're going train, physiologically, what are we doing? Who can type it out for me? Physiologically, what's happening to our bodies? Who knows the answer? I wrote it up there for you. It's the first thing. We're breaking our bodies down. Yes. And so for every hour we train, we need so much active recovery, so much mobility, correctives, stretching, hydration, sleep. We need that to be able to train hard again. Yeah, it could be for bigger, stronger ones to form. It could be for faster ones to form, Jim. It could be for more mobility to form, for anything, to get your ankle to work properly. Right? We need the rest phase in addition to that. Hopefully you can tell how serious I am about that. Right? Let's go to the next slide. And it takes equal parts. But if we, again, the training is up here. And if you look at that performance funnel we had, performance training was the top. Purpose is the bottom. Why do you want to do this? On top of that is lifestyle factors, good nutrition, hydration, breathing, and sleep. Hey, great question, Angel. Angel says, how much sleep is needed? Before I talk about quantity, I want to talk about quality. Yeah, no, Daniel. Breathing. Do you know how many times you breathe in a day? About 30,000. Do you know how many thoughts you have in a day? About 300,000. Have you guys thought of that before? No, I'm not lots. 300,000. About 300,000. You take about 30,000 breaths. This isn't lots. I'm giving you. You take about 30,000 breaths in a day, right? So if we don't focus on that, you're doing it all the time. If your breathing is poor, if your thoughts are bad, if you're messed up in your mind and you're not happy about training, do you see why that forms the base now of a really good training cycle?
Sam, I'm going to jump in real quick.
Yeah, please do.
when we talk about breathing, even one part of my evaluation when I have actually a client in the office is I actually just have them lay there. I watch them, or I watch what they do when I just try to resist them. And most of the time I don't resist very hard. It's just a light pressure, and automatically everyone holds their breath. They breathe through their chest. They don't breathe through their diaphragm. So if you know the difference between sympathetic and non-sympathetic, what we should be living in a non-sympathetic state the majority of the day. It's normal, it's rest. The sympathetic state is fight or flight. So when we're looking at training, we look at low threshold strategies and high threshold strategies. So if you're looking at an athlete lifting a heavy weight overhead, they're holding their breath and they're creating massive power, But when you're doing a plank, or you're doing clamshell exercises, or you're doing mini band exercises, you should not be holding your breath, But we see this in so many athletes because they're so used to holding their breath to kick. And even with Pumse athletes, they hold their breath, they're doing a front kick, and their head juts forward, and their shoulders come up. And then the coach says, "Hey, I want you to relax your shoulders. Don't shrug up your shoulders when you kick." And then they can't. It's because they haven't trained the low threshold strategies of physical prep, movement acquisition.
Yep. Yeah. Right. I mean, yeah. No, that's so well done. So well said. That fight or flight piece, right? After we train, we want to get into recovery phase as quickly as possible, right? Coach Graff has a great joke that if you don't get post-workout protein with some carbohydrates within 30 minutes of your muscles, does anyone here know what happens if you don't have that happen within 30 minutes? Your muscles explode. They literally explode. No, it's not literally. That's Coach Graff's joke. Copyright Coach Tony Graff. But within 30 minutes, we do want some carbohydrates in there. And the reason is we want to get back to that steady state of rest as soon as we can. We've used a lot of our glycogen stores during workout. We're doing fast twitch stuff. That takes a lot of fast twitch energy. Our body needs to replenish, right? We can use that. So as far as a fueling standpoint, if you're cutting weight, and we're not going to get specific on macronutrient counting and stuff today. If you are cutting weight and you need to have good energy during the day, when should you plan that higher maybe carbohydrate meal? Can be morning, can be pre-workout, right? You want before workout. Sierra knows it. Yeah, pre-workout is ideal. Morning can be okay too, but again, if people are cutting weight harder, and that's part of that individualized process, that we want to plan that. Also, within that 30-minute window, post-workout protein for you guys should have some carbohydrates in it to help bring you back to life a little bit and replace glycogen stores that are depleted is good. The rest of the time, you may not need that much. I don't think anyone here needs a no carbohydrate diet. You're an athlete, you're going to burn carbs, it's okay. But again, that's something that we can dive into deeper another time. Next part, sleep. The question was, how much sleep should I get? And that is a quantity question. I say first we answer this with a quality question. I would rather you get 6 hours of sleep in a dark room, lights out, blackout curtains, no TV, no cell phone, over 8 or 9 hours, and early, and starting at 10 p.m. at night, versus you go to bed at 1 a.m., but you get up at 10 a.m., so you got 9 hours, but the TV's on, you're on your phone, whatever. That is what I'm looking for. What happens is our body recovers better earlier in the night. We release natural hormones to repair our body. So if we're stressed out, what happens is, and this is crazy, anyone here have lower umbilical fat that they can't lose? Like right around their belly button. You might be ripped, but you can't quite get that last little piece gone. Right? Generally, Look, there's a lot of factors in here. I'm not doing diagnosis on you with calipers or dunk tank or whatever, but generally, this is a sign of cortisol response, right? So the higher our cortisol level goes, when you're nervous, right? Can you sleep well at night when you're nervous? When you have a lot of anxiety? No, right? So now our body can't repair, it can't release the good hormones, so our body starts to hold on to the fat stores or other stores, right? And it won't release, so the weight won't come off like we want it. So again, I don't care about your sauna suit first. If you're coming to me and saying you're how many pounds overweight, like Jesse, when you came and said, hey, you know, Salma is stuck on her weight a little bit, right? Coach Jesse Kuhn's on the call. And I said, ask her if she's stressed out about this tournament, right? And it turned out, yeah, team trials coming up, and she was stressed out. So I didn't care what factor I had to do for, oh, do this aerobic interval and do this macronutrient count. She was stressed. We got her unstressed. Jesse did a great job as a coach, got her mentally in state. And guess what? Weight came off and she made team, and he did a great job. But that macro part is so critical. So if we're not addressing sleep, right? And again, quality is primary. Some of you guys can't get 9 hours a night. Blackout curtains, write this down. Get blackout curtains. Turn the TV off, right? And let your body do the work and try and de-stress, right? What brings up stress? What type of things? I'm going to bring it back around. I think it was Daniel that tried to LOL me on this one. I'm going to get the ultimate trump card there. Thoughts, right? Our thought, it's in our head, right? It's in our head. I got you, Daniel. We're cool. We's boys. Fist bump. But life, but they're thoughts ultimately, right, Jim? Children. You think children aren't thoughts, but they're stuff. So all these thoughts we have in our head, the 300,000 thoughts we have in our head in a day, that affects our sleep. So that's why it starts there with purpose. You see how we're addressing this, guys? You see how deep this goes? For us to really get into what this looks like, and this is just the surface, but the thoughts and sleep, imagine this. I take this view for a second, and we're going to move on. You de-stress before you go to bed. You read a book, you have some downtime, you kind of get your head straight, maybe you make a list of what you want to do the next day so it's not on your mind. 10 p.m., 11 p.m., go to your bedroom, blackout curtains are up, do some breathing, and you go to sleep. Versus it's 12:30 at night, you're trying to answer emails for tomorrow and you're behind on a project, and you go to bed because you're still texting your friend, No, Erica, we're good on this webinar. You're texting your friend because you're not quite ready, or you're looking at a video. Which one of those is going to recover better? Right? And then which person is going to get more out of their training the next day? Because training, again, what's training? Training is the systematic breaking down of your body. So if I want to break you down, I need you recovered to beat you back down. Right? Then so the goal is to recover hard. I'm going to break you down. Recover hard, break you back down, and we build you into a beast, an absolute beast this way. Not from just going, hey, Dr. Han, hey, do 30 stretches for this and do some of these other things and do that, but hey, don't forget, I can't do it. Right. Okay, cool. So questions on this part, and again, I with individuals, we have a nutritionist that we work with that will be showing off to you guys really soon. But for today, I just want to go over the deeper factors, getting everyone ready for that stuff. Is that cool? Look, just comfortable. I'd say sleep temperature comfortable. Like if you can sleep. I mean, most people don't sleep well in a 105-degree room or freezing. Like your body can't relax. So how do you get? And then that part, active recovery. Right, this is the low-level stuff. Like Dr. Han said, foam rolling, trigger point, mobility, compression, icing. How many of you that are remote clients have I posted, like on a Friday after we've done a lot of hard training, I said, go hiking, 60 minutes outside in the sun. Who here's got that prescription from us? Yep, that's active recovery. I'm just trying to say, hey, just go out, don't do something, right, Logan? And people go, oh my gosh, shouldn't I be training? That's our job to modulate how hard to go. And we're trying to keep you guys in a good state so you can recover, right, Logan? So when I'm going to beat you up, and that's what your notes say, I say, I'm going to get ready for hard training. you're going to be ready. Oh yeah, look, if we want to do a whole other webinar on trigger point mobility, active recovery, Dr. Han will blow your guys' mind. Like, he will drop some serious knowledge. Any final questions on this part? We're good? All right. Here's where it's going to start getting fun now. Okay, next slide up. And guys, it's 2:30. We're going to go a little long. Is that okay? I want to get to this part. Is that cool? Maybe another 20 minutes, 15, 20 minutes? This is the good stuff? Yeah. We always want to make sure we deliver you so much value. If you've seen our videos and our stuff, we want to just bring the pain. That we've addressed mobility corrects, sharpening versus acquisition, right? We've addressed that. Now we've addressed your lifestyle factors, getting your body, your mind right to train, right? Now we can start really training, right? This is what everyone wants, but what we're trying to show you is what everyone needs may not be what everyone wants, okay? So pen and paper out. Everyone's got their pen and paper. We're ready? There you go, because now we're going to get into some knowledge bombs, I hope. I know there's been knowledge bombs the whole time, but we're going to dive in a little deeper now. Do me a favor. If you have questions on this stuff, type it up in comments, so that way I know and don't just look over at glazed eyes with me. First up, again, we're talking about peaking versus volume-based training, right? How many of this is you, right? Kids are out of school. We're going to do a 2-week camp at the end, triple days, double days, time to start doing it. Nationals around the corner, right? I'm training 4 days times a day, 7 days a week. I must be crushing it, right? Why are my athletes getting hurt before the competition? We've addressed this some, right? We've addressed this already, so we don't need to belabor that point. But these are all volume-based training. And here's the idea. How do we put this together to make your best prep camp? All the stuff we built on, now we're going to try and make it into a plan that you guys and coaches and athletes can carry out. Okay, it's going to be general, again, with our yeah, good looking peeps right there, right? Those are some happy faces. If you know, it's Ara White and Salma. They just won Bantam and Feather National Team. It was their first time doing it, so that was really cool. And some good looking coaches there too. But with this, how do we put this together and make this into a plan? Because that's the idea, right? We have to carry this out in the real world. Here's the first thing I want you guys to understand. Volume and intensity are diametrically opposed, right? So these are opposites. Anyone who here has ever said they had a high intensity workout that was 3 hours? Man, what an intense session we had at training today. 3 hours long. And be honest, if you have, because I see your guys' Facebooks. I see the posts that go out there. Maybe not. Maybe this group's smart, but how many of you see other people say that? Oh man, great intense thing, and here's me and Dr. Han's face. It's like this all the time, right? So volume is building, right? We build with volume. That's like we can do that with acquisition. We can do higher repetition stuff. We do higher based intervals. Then with intensity is where we sharpen, right? That general idea. And a lot of this is going to be general strength and conditioning knowledge for you guys, or for to help explain better to your athletes too, if you get it. Each one has a goal. The goal generally in a prep camp, what do we build first? Do we build volume or do we build intensity first? Which one comes first? I see one for volume, another for volume. Good. Volume is first. Why is that? Why don't we just do intensity the whole time? Scott's got it. That's our base, right? We're getting our body prepped to go. And not necessarily endurance, but for some to be able to endure and to handle the rigors of a harder training session, right? Because a hard training session, if you go, I'm going to do full match fights, I mean, think team trials. You're doing your full fight, you're doing your Pumse live, and you're going for it. You may only do a few minutes of output, but you're drained. So we've got to get your body primed. We have to actually get your mind prepped. Your central nervous system needs to get prepped to handle this load, right? I've studied a lot with Olympic weightlifters. My weightlifting coach is in the USA Weightlifting Hall of Fame, and I studied with him about 7 years after I finished with Taekwondo, touring this. I urge everyone, start studying weightlifting if you want, not to turn you into a weightlifter, but as a scientific experiment, it's really great because they have the load. No, not kettlebells. I mean weightlifting. I mean the Olympic sport of snatch and clean and jerk, right? Kettlebells are great, but there's a sport, and here's what's great about it, right? If someone can lift 100 kilos, and I say, do 85% of your max today, how much are they lifting? $85 kilos, right? But and Jesse converted it for me, nice. But right, I mean, yeah, they're doing that much, right? But check this out. How do you do that in Taekwondo? How do I say, guys, we're going to go at 85% today? It's harder, right? But so they can manipulate the volume and the variables really well. So it's good. For our sport, Taekwondo, physiologically speaking, I believe is an aerobic-based sport, right? I mean, it's not short. You need to be able to breathe and recover while you do it. That takes a lot of contractions, but right? So contractions are creatine, phosphate, ATP, fast energy, right? Bounce, 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 go, 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 bounce, 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 recover, go, 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 right? Everyone agree with that's pretty much the idea. Pumse too. You have to be able to breathe well. You do your hard movements, recover. You can't be out of breath at the end. It's going to look bad, right? So we need both. High output training, that's that ATP, CP, the creatine phosphate, hard work. Aerobically, that's how we recover, right? So we regenerate new creatine phosphate through a well-developed aerobic system. Does everyone know that? How that works? And if no, I'll explain a little more. Yeah, so here's the idea. So we want fast energy, right? We want to go, bam. Well, you can't keep that up all fight. You can't just kick full speed for 6 minutes. It's crazy, right? So we're going to be tired. So if our aerobic base is very low, it will take us longer to recover that fast energy. If our aerobic base is good, and I go fast, I dip down, I bounce back up fast, and I can go again. Did anyone see Logan Garrick's fight with Gus Villa at Team Trials? Yeah, he goes for that, right? Aerobically, he's very talented. Yeah, Jesse, what happened in round 3? He kicked nearly the entire round, right? He had to. He was down 5 points, but he had to. But we've developed, this guy can run, sub 12-minute 2 miles. So aerobically, he's talented, but also he's not just fast and slow. That's not good. We have to have that high, fast output. So it's the marriage of both of those, right, is what this is. So that's what we're looking for as far as building the volume, building a good aerobic base. So when we do higher intensity things, we can recover from it. As far as intensity is concerned, who can give me a definition of or an example of what's intense? What's intensity? Who can type one up for me? Erica says doing more or faster within a given amount of time, power. What else? Who else has some stuff for me? Short-term energy, kicking with lots of speed. Michael Polarius, that's great. Speed, right? Intensity is your power output, right? Your power output. Power is force, distance, and time, right? So force, how much force you can produce, how much time it takes, or how much distance it covers, and divided by how much time it takes. So a marathon runner is relatively lower intensity, right? I don't care what drill it is. I mean, like that, but I mean specifically as far as a science standpoint, right? As far as a science standpoint, it is not burpees. Burpees is a training tool, right? And you can do high intensity. That, but is how much output can you produce in a short time? So who's a very explosive fighter you know? Who's one of the most explosive athletes you know? Type up a name for me. Yep, these are some great ones. All three of these are awesome. Yep. That means they can produce more intensity in a shorter amount of time. Right? All good examples. Right? So when we're doing training, the higher intensity isn't how much you yell, isn't how much you want it. Those are all physiological things. I want you to be able to contract as fast as you can and as quickly as you can in the shortest amount of time. Not to be long and slow, although we need that aerobic base. Intensity is higher. So think of intensity or volume as this. Volume is you do a rumble. A rumble is volume, right? You're going to do 20 matches. Intensity is the final of team trials, right? One match, everything into it. That is, obviously mentally intense, but physiologically it is on. Does that make sense, guys, how we're looking at that? Awesome. Like, I know some of this stuff can be hard. It can be hard even to explain to a big group. So sometimes I'm trying to say in different ways to get everyone to do that. Let's go to the next slide. Okay, we're talking about different variables and understanding the variables of this, right? So generally speaking, for this in our training, right, we have how many reps you do, how many kicks is someone going to do, or how many squats or sprints or anything someone's going to do. We can do set reps. How many sets of that we can adjust. We can say, hey, add a set this week, drop a set off. We're doing speed kicking drills. It's 8 sets of 4 reps of this for 10 seconds rest, 90 seconds, whatever. And adjust that. We can adjust the load, how much you are lifting, right? We can adjust that. We can adjust the rest between intervals, right? That's another variable we can do. Finally, we can adjust percentage of effort, right? We're at 70%, we're at 80% effort, right? Finally, we can adjust what we call RPE, and this is an important one for you guys. For Taekwondo, it's relative perceived exertion, right? That's percentage of how hard that is for you. And this is a good one for more advanced athletes because sometimes, again, we can't say, hey, kick at 80% today, but you kind of know what that might feel like if you have a developed athlete. So we can adjust those. Changing these variables changes the outcome. I'll type it for you. Relative. One second. Relative perceived exertion, right? Changing the outcome. So let's say this. So if the energy systems are this, we have anaerobic power, right? And again, we can say a lactic and all this stuff. I'll keep it simple. We have anaerobic power, anaerobic lactic power and endurance, some lactates produced, and then aerobic power, and on the slower stuff, and then aerobic base stuff, right? As far as our energy spectrum. Anaerobic stuff is our high output, right? Our creatine, phosphate, ATP, go for 5 seconds as hard as you can, right? Oh, Scott, don't worry. We're on that, baby. Right? So we do that. So if we want to do a 100-meter sprint, is that anaerobic or aerobic? Generally speaking. 100-meter sprint would be anaerobic. So it'd be without oxygen, meaning we don't need oxygen or carbohydrates, whatever, as a primary fuel source. We're using, you can just do it. Your muscles can contract fast enough on their own, right? Think of a 30-meter sprint, even more. Go, you don't need, you can hold your breath for 30 meters and run, right? You don't need oxygen. But let's change the variables now. This is something that we see when we design training programs and we see people at their martial arts schools or athletes on their own doing stuff. If you do 100-meter sprint, rest 1-to-1, so it takes a rest 30 seconds times 16 sets. What energy system is that now? That's aerobic, right? Because it's 16 sets. So again, just because we're doing a 100-meter sprint doesn't necessarily mean you're training this energy system, right? Because the rest interval isn't long enough to replenish what we have to do, right? That makes sense? For anaerobic stuff, we generally need between 7 to 11 times rest. So that'd be, if it's a 10-second output of speed drills, how many seconds rest would you need to make it actually a speed drill? No, Nathan says 20. Charles got it. Yeah, exactly. So here's what happens if we're doing it at 20 seconds, we can't refuel that energy source now. So that's aerobic. Just like that 100-meter sprint, right? 10 seconds of work, 20 seconds of rest, 16 sets. It's going to be aerobic, maybe lactic. It may just fall off where you're like struggling super hard, right? So we need that. So who here does like a Tabata kicking drill for a speed drill? You say, hey guys, we're going to do a speed drill. 20 seconds on, 10 seconds off times 8, right? Okay, so we have 2 seconds of work, 1 sec of rest, right? To ratio, so 20 on, 10 off. I'm typing that up for you. 20 seconds of work, 10 seconds off, 8 sets. So that's 2 on, 1 off, essentially, right? So what energy system is that really? It's aerobic. It's aerobic and probably muscle endurance, right? Okay, so as you see how these variables we change and we think we're doing one thing, but really we're going that. So me and Doc always joke around. We see people, I did an hour of plyometrics today. And Doc, what do we always say to that?
We just shake our heads. We don't say anything really.
Oh, we always go, you did an hour of aerobics. You did an hour, that's aerobics, right? Hey, technically, everyone here sitting down right now is doing aerobics. This is an activity that is requiring oxygen to breathe, right? Yes, exactly, Scott. Yeah, so they're super developed. Weightlifters too. So this is the idea. Scott Meyer's onto something here. Scott, he says 100-meter sprinters rest 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes between outputs, right? Because they don't need to do anything in between. But our sport, can you rest? What happens if you did 10 seconds hard and you did 5 minutes of resting? What happens? It kicked in the face. So that's why we need that recovery base also. Do you see how these combine now? Yeah, Coach Dennis gets it. See how they combine that we need the high output piece and the recovery piece together. They're not just this and that, right? So it's very complex. Kick to the face. Okay, and then how does each week's focus affect the variables, right? So we're in a volume-based first, which is more aerobic, and we move into intensity, or really be this way, move into intensity over the 8 weeks, right? So that's where we're looking at. So we start off with volume, going to be a little more aerobic, but we're still doing some anaerobic stuff, right? We're still doing some fast stuff. Let's say maybe starting off, we do, some running interval. I'll just make an easy one. Let's do the one we said, 100 meters on, rest 30 seconds times 16 sets. I mean, we could, make up whatever one we want. Run 400 meters, rest 3 minutes times 4. If we're building volume, next week could be run 400 meters, rest 3 minutes times 5. That's more volume, right? Now times 6. Now whatever. We get into intensity. Now we might say run 300 meters, run 200 meters, right? Because that's intensity. We get a long rest, but now we can hit that harder to get your output higher, right? So by adjusting these variables and understanding it, so the question is, does this apply to Poomsae? Absolutely. I mean, if you see the training stuff we do for them, a lot of aerobic, again, relative to that sport, how we do it, the demands we need on your muscles to fire, how we make sure you build up. Yeah, absolutely we do, right? Okay, Michael, that's going to get you banned, okay? If we start talking down to our friends here. We don't do that, okay? Serious, okay, I appreciate it, right? We're all here to learn. Okay, next up, let's go to the next slide of that. here. So peaking versus volume training. The next thing I want you to know before we get into the cycle, there's 3 types. And Dr. Han laid it out great here. Macro cycles are big cycle. Mesocycle is like a month or 2, right? Right? A microcycle, or a mesocycle might even be a quarter. Microcycles between a week or a couple weeks, right? And then individual sessions is your daily stuff, right? So yeah, so when we do that, what we're talking about here for an 8-week cycle is really a mesocycle, right? A 2 month or 2 block, maybe made up of 2 mesocycles with a bunch of 8 weekly cycles, which is a microcycle, and then the daily sessions. So everyone follow me on that, how we're breaking that down. When we work with people, like with Lambden, I'll give you a little insight on Lambden. Last year, started off, had a hard time the start of the year. But for us, we wanted him to peak for the Grand Prix. So actually, after he wasn't doing so great, I gave him a little time off, right, to rest. And he's going, why am I resting? I should be going again. We go, no, man, we want you to focus on this cycle here at the end. Okay, so this helps us understand the view. We're looking at a mesocycle and how we're going to break down the microcycles for your athletes in the individual stations. Okay? Go to next slide. There are generally 2 main versions we can do here, right, in our training blocks. Right? There's many others. You could talk to 1,000 people and they might have different stuff. Here's the 2 that we've found really work best for Taekwondo athletes, whether it's Poomsae or fighting. Right? One is 2 blocks made up of 4 weeks. So if you're 8 weeks, that's 4 weeks and 4 weeks. Some people, we've had success doing 4 weeks. 4 sets of 2 weeks. So 2, 2, 2, 2. Right? That's how it's gonna go. Right, guys, and we'll answer the question about the Tabata in a little bit. But these are kind of the 2 big ones, how we're breaking it down. And here's how it works. I prefer the 2 by 4 week blocks for Taekwondo. I think the 4 by 2 is really good, but you have to have a really in-depth understanding of energy system development, I believe. One second. Let me pull up this new doc. Can't do it. Okay, sorry, I thought if I could pull something up for you guys. That we're basing that mesocycle into the microcycle. So everyone's seeing how we're getting to this part. The method we do now, those first weeks, volume is a priority, right? We can build up more. Meaning, we're probably going to go build some volume week 1 if we have a good background, a little more week 2, week 3 a little more. And what happens after week 3? So we're going to go build, build, build. And not a full rest, we're going to lower, we're going to deload. We're not going to get you don't get a full rest week in an 8-week cycle. Sorry guys, you don't. We deload, so it's lower volume, intensity builds. Rick gets the thing, the candy for the day. This is a great time for us to do a halfway check-in, right? Because these plans we make are individualized, as we build, I can see where you're at now. We pull back the volume. If volume and intensity are opposed, what happens to intensity? Pops up. So I can say, hey, let's check where you're at, athlete. We can check in. I can go, hey, we need to tweak this for the next 4 weeks, right? So it's a natural deload. We don't just build forever. Everyone thinks it's this. We go build, and then knock it down, right? For that. The second 4 weeks, right? What's priority for the second 4 weeks? Volume or intensity? Acquisition or sharpening? What's the priority? Intensity, Jesse, yeah, right. We want it again. The final fight at team trials is not just mentally intense. That is a physiologically intense time. It is one thing, one out, full out. How's the best you can do? Not hey, best 12 out of 15. Right? That's low. That's a rumble. A rumble is an example of volume, right? So when are rumbles useful? In the prep phase, exactly. Experience. Hey, fight everyone you can fight today. Because you get dinged up, you get injured a little bit, you get some bruises. You're still 6 weeks out from the tournament, you'll heal. But if you do a rumble 2 weeks before, you go, we're going to get you so ready for nationals. We have so many rumbles lined up. And look, I literally invented the rumble. I'm not joking, like invented the rumble in 2006 to be far away from this stuff, right? I feel like saying I invented the piano key necktie when I say that. So now we're going intensity. We know where you're at, that final peaking part, we decrease volume, intensity increases, right? Because you can handle more. You can handle 85% of your max. You can handle 90% of your max, right? Because you have the basis, because we built on a good foundation. We addressed the correctives, everything is good. Now we can load you really hard, right? We're at 95% of our max, right? What happens that last week? Because we had 3 weeks of building, we did build on intensity. What happens? Recovery, right? We need to recover, because recovery is where we get stronger, and we're peaking. Now we're in the peaking phase. Are we doing acquisition or sharpening? Exactly. We're doing sharpening, but not just arbitrary stuff. We are sharpening the things we have already built, right? So let's keep pulling this back around. We did this build phase, made sure we got everyone's mind right, their health right, their sleep right, their nutrition dialed in, right? We addressed all their issues. We have to work on your ankle stability first. That's acquisition. We have to work on learning your back kick properly. That's acquisition. Now we've done it. We've trained them physiologically. Got these parts up, build. Now we can do them hard. Now we're sharpening the product that's really good. That's how it works. We taper and they crush it. And that's why you'll see people that we get to work with and other people that know how to do this on their own. You go, they don't look that good in practice, but man, they look good in the ring, and they look really good on top of the podium. So that's the overview of building that out. And that's the weekly view, right? This is the 2 mesocycles, right? Let's go a little deeper now, right? A little deeper. How do we chunk down the weeks? Okay, because what do you do on a week? Yeah. I mean, look, these are physiological principles, Erica. The underlying principles for getting someone ready for a marathon and an Olympic weightlifting meet couldn't be more opposites on the spectrum. Actually follow a little more scientific principles than people give credit to. So we can learn a lot from other sports. Ideal weekly training plan. This is where it gets really hard. Okay, this gets really hard because this is where the rubber meets the road. And we're almost done. I think we have 2 more slides. Thank you for staying with us. But this is where it gets really, really cool and where expertise comes in a lot. Ideal weekly training plan based on your physiological best ability during the week, right? Do we have the same level of output each day of the week? Meaning Monday, do you have the same output as on a Friday? No, why not? Why don't we? There's nothing special about a Wednesday. Weekends, so what's different? Tired. Yeah, why are you tired? Body breaking down, and recovery is a process of healing our body, right? Exactly. On our sport, generally, we compete on Saturdays. I know nationals is different days, but for general stuff, you'll compete on Saturdays or Friday for the most part, right? Team trials Saturday or Friday, Sunday, stuff like that. Generally speaking, right? So here's the idea. I don't have this on a slide. I just have it written down, so you don't have to take notes on this. For Mondays, are we coming off a rest day on Monday? Yes. Right? So do we have more or less energy? More, but we might be a little sluggish, but we have more energy. So Monday is our volume day, right? Because we can get more we had a day to recover. We had Sunday off. We had active recovery. We slept well. We had good hydration. We had good nutrition. Our glycogen stores are replenished. More volume relative to the week of the plan, right? If we're 8 weeks out, that's a lot of volume, right? For that week. But what if we're 2 weeks out? What does that mean? It's still our volume day, so how does that work? Who knows how that would work? Well, it's lower absolute volume in the cycle, but Charles, here's how it works. Relative to the week, it's still the most volume of the day, of the time, right? So what we're looking at is higher volume for the week. We're looking for a good CNS output. Our central nervous system, we can train that hard, right? Our training, we have our most fresh energy, so that's a great day for our anaerobic training, right? Hit hard repeats. 10 seconds off, rest a minute. 10 seconds on, rest a minute. Hit it hard and develop that system, right? As we get closer, we can change that, but we can hit that over and over because we have our stores to go hard from the weekend, right? We're ready, we're fresh. So now let's go to Tuesday. Tuesday, we had a hard session Monday, a lot of volume. If we had a lot of volume, what's going to happen? If we had volume on Monday, what's happened to our body? Broken down some, right? Broken down. So, do we do a lot of volume on Tuesday? Man, or do we do a lot of, can we do a lot of intensity? On Tuesday, we're going to crush it on Tuesday. Intensity. Because we can't output that high. So Tuesday is actually a really great day for skill-based training. Things that require lower output, right? Lower CNS. Our mind might be, honestly, our brain takes a little time to recover from high output stuff. Developmental time, right? Where you can, let's break this movement down, right? Situational drills. Really great for that. As far as the energy system piece, the highest output we're still recovering from. We did our anaerobic stuff. What's next? Right, we can't, sorry. We can't hit that high note again. We can go just under it though. So we can do lactic work, some of the nasty stuff. Some of our glycolytic work. We can do that where your legs hurt really bad. That's a good day for that. It's a high-ish volume, but not quite as much as Monday and not high output, right? So we can do that. So Tuesday is really good. We'll also have our lactate flushed out of our blood system by Saturday, right? Because we have a few days. So we need touches of that in our training. People say we don't. I couldn't disagree more. I think you need some buffering in that. Can everyone hear me?
I can hear you, Tim.
Can everyone hear me? Okay. All right, cool. So we do need touches of lactate in our training. And what that means is, again, like I said, a fight usually is CP, ATP based, anaerobic, and then aerobic based to recover. But who here has ever had a fight go really poorly or a poomse where you felt so nervous and your legs felt like they were full of cement? Yep, that's generally lactic, right? And not lactic acid, that's a different concept. Talking about our energy and fuel source of that, takes a long time to recover from that. So we need some of that in our body as we get closer. So that way when that fight goes really poorly, you can handle it and your opponent can't. And then we recover well from it too. So Tuesday, yeah, skill-based day, lower output, a good day to work on that stuff for your training. So again, now Wednesday, right? We had the high output. We have the lactic output. What's next as far as energy system work? What would be next for your training? Where did the high output stuff? No, not anaerobic, Scott. That was Monday. It'd be probably aerobic. Probably like longer kicking sessions. We can do that. Maybe some muscle endurance stuff for the legs is good because again, by Saturday, we're going to be able to flush that out and we'll be fine. We're not going to be too sore from that by Wednesday. So Wednesday is good on that. And same as Wednesday or Thursday, depending, right? So this is where it gets a little tricky, just depending on your training schedule. If we're training Thursday or Wednesday, just know that one of these probably will be off. If our competition day is Saturday, Thursday, we're trying to prime our body for Saturday. So we're just getting our central nervous system tapped just enough to be ready. Maybe we're doing some situational drills. Maybe we're doing a little more, some of that ATP anaerobic based work again, because we're recovered from it by Monday. Some hard short kicking drills. What are we going to do on Friday? If Saturday is our test day, what happens Friday? Rest, exactly. Yep. Rest, recover. Get ready because Saturday is the test. And Saturday is, again, relative to the week, for the week, is that a high volume or high intensity day? For a week. If we're looking at a 1 week cycle, and Saturday's our competition day, is it high or low volume? Exactly, it's low volume. Yes, right? Low, because that's our testing day. Now, if we're 8 weeks out, is it absolutely high or low volume? If we're 8 weeks out, is relative compared to 2 weeks out, it's high. So do you see how that changes? The volume will drop over the week, but it's always going to be a little maybe lower volume compared to other days. Right? So it's a sliding scale on that. And that's hard to conceptualize sometimes. That's part of what where a lot of the work is. Okay, because Saturday now we get a test. We get to see where your athletes are at. Right? Again, that Wednesday or Thursday is a good other day if you want like a mini day in the week. Wednesday or Thursday is great, but Saturday is awesome. Why else is it good to go hard on Saturday? And again, hard means intensity. Why else is it good to do that on Saturday? And we're almost done, guys. About 5 more minutes and we're done. Why else is it good to go hard on Saturday? Well, tournaments are Saturday and you get Sunday off. You guys got it. Right? So our body's used to doing that, which is good, right? And also you get Sunday to recover. So if you go hard and you're like, how many times after Saturday workout are you like, oh my goodness, right? You get to recover. And then Monday, and what happens Monday? We've recovered, so what do? Yeah, we repeat, new cycle, but what do we change, Rick? Because we don't repeat it exactly. If we're 7 weeks out, and it's our second week of the 8-week cycle, what are we doing on Monday? Specifically, I want to see how close, this is a hard one to get. Increasing volume, yeah, week 2, we're increasing volume. If we're at week 4, let's say we're at week 4 on a Monday, what are we doing? Increasing intensity, yes. Right, you guys are getting it. Is this starting to make sense how this all works? How much goes into this? Who here's ever mapped this out before, this detailed? Yeah, it's fun. It's a fun experiment. Look, it's stuff that sometimes we look and we write so many training plans, we get to go back and look at all the data. We have almost an unfair advantage, right? I mean, Doc, I think we have an unfair advantage because we get to see how every athlete is responding to this. So we get to make so many tweaks, right?
Right, because I think the big thing is we have an outline, but each athlete is an individual. So that's why us staying in contact with them and getting their feedback is key, because I think you're going to talk about on the next slide or on 2 slides later, but we control the strength and conditioning side, not necessarily the technical, tactical side. And this is why it's so important to have like Master White and the other coaches here to see, and that we've worked with personally, to see both sides, because there has to be communication between the two, and it's key, because you make the analogy to a football team. It's like strength and conditioning on one side and the coaches on one side, they communicate. And in an ideal situation, we have that.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. Now know that with this is more for more developed athletes in general, right? For younger athletes, that's why we developed a kids fitness program that is general acquisition. I'd say under 12, unless there's some rare kids that can do more specialized stuff, they need good broad movement always. And the reason is they're developing so fast, you can push them closer to the tournament, they're going to improve because they're 11. It's like when someone says, imagine this. I take a 10-year-old and I go, I just helped this 10-year-old improve his 1 mile run time. Well, yeah, he's 12 now. He just got better from getting older, So at a certain age, these younger ones, and we're working on that for general fitness for you guys to do, to get them. It's like the base layer that once they're of age, now we can start loading them into, these type of things where it matters. Let's see. Next up, the advantages of separating Taekwondo from strength and conditioning, right? The advantage of doing it separately, we can meet and exceed the demands of sport, no matter what sport it is, and requirements through appropriate training protocols. So I know it's really hard to do lactic endurance sessions or strength building in a Taekwondo class. It's hard. But outside of that, we have a world where we can make that happen really well. And then our job is to send athletes back to the coaches that are stronger, faster, more resilient. And the coach can do their perfect skill. The coach is the Taekwondo coach. And they can do their thing really well. They're clay. We want to mold them and go, here you go, coach, do your stuff. We believe that Taekwondo training should be mostly skill-based. Taekwondo training should be mostly technical-based. It should be mostly situational-based and local conditioning, meaning, yes, you have to still make sure your legs can kick for 6 minutes or whatever, or be able to do pumse for 90 seconds perfectly. It has to be able to do that, right? So you can't just say, hey, I ran a bunch of miles, why can't I kick? You have to do crossover, but you don't need to be doing, if you do it all on your own, again, that session's so long, you're not going to get out of it because you're going, we need to do 16 sets of anaerobic kicking. Tim said that's 10 seconds on, rest 90 seconds, times 16. Okay, that's, holy crap, that's 2.5 hours. It's too long, right? What we want, and it's why we hate when we see people doing like, a hurdle drill into a kick or a fit light with a kick or something, like just focus on kicking really well. Just get good at kicking. Outside of that, work on your reactions. Outside of that, work on your coordination. Outside of that, work on your energy system development. And then let's push you back in to your sport and have your coach mold you. Does that make sense, guys? And again, I know a lot of people disagree with me on this. I get into battles all the time. All the time. Oh, we did this and we did. Don't try and make your Taekwondo training everything. Taekwondo training, keep it pure. Make it as good as you can, right? I want you to work on your kicks and focus to make that off the line so perfect, or your cut kick so perfect, or your side kick for your pumse perfect. Trust your coach. Yeah, you guys have some great coaches. We want to help leverage your coach, your coach's work, what you do, to get the most out of that. I mean, some of you guys might travel 2-3 hours to train with a coach. What should you spend your time on? Spend your time on Taekwondo, right? Do that. Don't try and go like, oh, hey, you drove 3 hours. Let's do something you could have done on your own, right? Because you could do squatting on your own. You could go running on your own. You don't need 30 people to do that with. But Taekwondo, you might need someone else to do that with. It's hard. But so that's what we believe about that, and that's the advantages of doing those separately. The other advantage is you actually do less. How many people here know how many times in a week Stephen Lambden kicks? That's a little low, too. That's a little low. Yeah, 3 times. 3 times. He might do 25 kicks, Kareem, but he does 3 sessions a week. And how many strength and conditioning sessions does he do? 3. That's it. Made the Olympic team. I've been doing this with him for 4 years now. And obviously he's had great coaches before that, right? So it takes a village. We never say, hey, this is us and no one else. It takes everyone. But Logan Garrick, 3 times a week, right? Ironically, Selma, I don't think Jesse's on here. Selma, is athlete that made team, is a newer athlete. Can I push her a little harder than Stephen Lambden? Like, meaning volume-wise? Yeah, you better believe it. So she does 5 sessions a week. because she needs a little more aerobic development, because technically she's not as good yet as Steven. Steven's 28. He's on the Olympic team. It's her first national team. I think it's fair to say he's more developed. So for an undeveloped athlete, I need to compensate and say, I'm going to make sure you're in such good shape, girl, that when it comes time to finals at team trials, you can kick the whole time if you have to, right? Or a Pumse athlete, you're going to get nervous. I'm going to say, hey, I can get you in such good shape and so strong that no matter how nervous you are, you're going to be able to do your stuff well and not freak out. So that's important, but that's why it's individualized, right? It's individualized because then we can do that for you, right? What a 28-year-old athlete with 2 Achilles surgeries, and maybe the Olympics is different than the 17-year-old who just made team. It's different than Logan, if she's still here, who's 16 and just getting started, right? Different than my mom, who's 65, 64 now, 64, and has been to won 3 world championships. They're all tweaked and different, but this is the broad approach we use to do that, right? Doc, anything you want to add on that one?
No.
Okay. Yeah. You want to wrap it up? Sorry, guys. Thank you for listening to that. Hopefully, you can tell I'm super passionate about it. For that stuff and how much we put into that. And this is the surface. This is the surface. So go ahead, Doc.
Yeah, like I said in the beginning, once we get to Tim's piece, your mind's gonna be blown, because I was listening the whole time. I'm learning stuff as we go, and then again, Tim and I, we often go back and forth. We talk about our athletes, and we're like, okay, this person is having this issue, and I think Tim brings up Lambden, and he talks about his periodization schedule. Tim will reach out to me, or Stephen will reach out to me and say, hey, I'm having trouble with this specific kick. And then I'll make tweaks to his mobility and activation sequences prior to his strength and conditioning. Mm-hmm. And he also does them on the off days as recovery pieces. So, it's really a team effort here at the Juice, and we're fortunate enough to have each other to bounce ideas. And we also learn from a lot of you guys as well. I think Tim's gonna. Can you bring up that mastermind group on Facebook?
That's the link I'm gonna get right now for you. So if you're a coach, we have a couple things. This coaching mastermind, a group for coaches where we go over this stuff, we talk about it, we answer your questions, right? For all our remote athletes, we have a private group just for the athletes we work with, right? So if you're a coach, you want to get in that group, jump in there. It's free. We like to work with this stuff on you and help you out on it. If you have questions on, remote coaching and how that works, info@juicecompound.com, or you can check more info at juicecompound.com/remote-coaching. Thank you so much for your time, guys. Like Dr. Hanta says here at the end, set your goals, figure out a plan, execute the plan, take the test, reevaluate. We look at the stuff and how do we come back in? How do we improve it more, right? We would love to get the chance to work with you guys in the future. Finally, we like to do these regularly. Finally, if you guys could thank Patrick Wentland from USAT, he set this up. He took the go-ahead and gave us the opportunity to do this with, hey, send me your thing first and I'm going to tell you what, you guys do, or tell you what to do or not. He basically said, we trust you guys what you do, and we want you guys to rock it. And so send him an email. I think it's probably Patrick at USA Taekwondo or whatever. You find him on the site. But just say, if you liked it. Finally, we will be at the Next Level Camp in Kansas City. Let's see, in 2 weeks. We're going to be there. We're going to be doing a Olympic prep camp for Lambden in Arizona. We're trying to have some space to bring a couple coaches out if we can to watch, if you want to watch. We're not sure of how to do it because we have limited space. East Coast, yeah, guys, we'd love to see all of you, to tell you the truth. We have a little time to do it right now, so just message us if you want to work with us more. I'm not trying to make a big picture at the end. I just want to finish with saying thank you all for your time. Dr. Han, thank you for putting this presentation together. Dr. Han got this. Coach Graff, thank you for your insights as always on here. And yeah, we have final questions. We have a question or two we need to answer, or are we good? I know we ran long. It was like 2 hours, but I mean, as you see, we could do this all weekend. I mean, like there's we're just getting started. Like, we're going to take Taekwondo to like through the roof is what we want to do. Quick recap, Ben. Yeah. Well done. Yeah.
Yeah, and everyone just on our Facebook, like, leave comments and share and ask us questions, because it's because of your comments and shares is what we choose to present on. And I know there's a lot of questions on mindset and nutrition. You know, we are bringing all those components in. So just keep posting your questions, and we'll make sure we hit them.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, hopefully you know that we reply to everyone's questions on our Facebook page when you post up on our videos. Like, has anyone here never gotten a reply from us? I think you always, like, I reply to everything you say, right? We like to get in there. We're here of service for you guys. So thank you so much. Thank you for being on here. This will be live soon. I'm going to email everyone the link it'll be on YouTube. And again, you can subscribe to our YouTube page, youtube.com/juiceathlete.compound. Yeah, exactly. And we'd love to get to work with you guys, whether it's at a seminar, on Facebook, online, or our remote coaching program with our coaching program. We want to be here to help. And thank you for your time. I know we ran long. And Dr. Han, on behalf of Dr. Han, on behalf of Coach Kraft, thank you guys so much.
Thanks, guys.